सबको मेरा प्रेम भरा नमस्कार. I thought that it will be better to present a case study. Myself and my co-author Dr. S.S. Pawar, who is also from Haryana PWD, he was also with me when we constructed the first concrete highway with Shri pavement technology in the country, Delhi Mathura Road. He was SDO, I was SC. So we presented this paper in Minneapolis. And you see, in front of us on the podium is our tricolor. We started the presentation with Vasudev Kutumbakam because it had been actualized. Before us, the delegates from 39 US states and 21 countries from across the globe were sitting. So this gesture was highly appreciated. This presentation is unique in the sense so many delegates from the conference demanded it and we gave it. So that is why I changed from maintenance to this case study, because case study is the crux of somebody's experience on field. Now I'll go ahead. The presentation outline is, it gives preamble, then reasons for distress, objective of the study, methodology, case studies, treatment of longitudinal crack in PQC, repair of settled panels. This is a very serious problem with NHI projects in the field, mostly in concrete payments, and settlement is also in flexible payments. So concrete payments, how I solved it, and it is still serving okay from last 6 years, we'll be discussing. Repair of longitudinal cracks, diagonal cracks, retrofitting of tie bars, and conclusions. Now this repair of longitudinal cracks, it is almost universal that you find two types of defects in concrete pavements in India. A, in the wheel path from 0.9 to 1.2 meter approximately in the slow lane or truck lane, you definitely find this longitudinal crack. B, when you go over a road and look at the central joint, it is opened. Reason, again, settlement of soil underneath. So this we will also be discussing how in a limited way, not on all, we can solve it. Then retrofitting of tie bars and conclusions. This paper was scrutinized by 3 international authors and it was referred back to us 2 times and finally it was approved, because in ISCP, International Society for Concrete Payments, USA, it is very, very difficult because their procedure is very meticulous. And fortunately, I am also one of the persons who check these papers, international papers. Next. Yeah. India stands foremost. Foremost in construction of concrete pavements. As I inquired from NHI, some 30,000 kilometers, maybe lane kilometer or something have been built till date. Distress does occur after construction or during construction also sometimes. Reasons for any distress can be single or multiple. We have tried to study the 4 prominent projects in India where distress occurred during and after construction. Number 1, NS20 Rajouri to Bakhtiarpur in Bihar state. 2, NS48 Belgaum to Maharashtra border. It lies mostly in Maharashtra. NS 16 section from Ganjam to Sankala in Odisha. NS 30 Koliwar to Bhojpur in Bihar. In India, the pavement design of cement concrete pavement is based on 90 days of flexure strength as per IRC 58. Contraction joints are provided at designated intervals for expansion and contraction. These contraction joints are usually at 4.5 meters in the longitudinal direction. Now we will discuss with reasons for distress. Why this distress takes place? Inappropriate selection and handling of materials, lack of timely and adequate curing, very serious defect. Curing is done half-heartedly. Delayed joint cutting and other construction deficiencies. Types of distress. Random cracks of all types in the concrete pavement develop at under location at undesignated places. Apart from that, there is faulting. While on the subject, I will define what is faulting. Difference between the two panels. Level difference between the two panels in longitudinal or transverse direction. If it is 4 mm or above, it is called faulting. Then scaling. Scaling the finer material from the top surface of the pavement withers away and it is called scaling. Loss of texture. The texture with the passage of time, because of plying of vehicles, the tining, the texture abrades. And if it is less than 0.75 mm, this causes, this is the reason for aquaplaning and causes multiple accidents during rainy season. Longitudinal cracks due to settlement of soil underneath, I have discussed. Objectives of the study. क्या बीमारी बेटे तुम एक्सपर्ट हो क्या बीमारी है अंकल ये शेयर करेंगे cement concrete pavement is capital intensive in construction cost. The need to devise some innovative methodology to rectify the defects was of dire necessity. The objective to demonstrate the effectiveness and cost efficiency of the new rectification methods. The deduced new technique obviates the complete removal. This is very important. Complete removal and replacement of the affected panels. We are doing only the. I have checked up by taking cores and by taking beams. There is no need to remove the whole panel. We concentrate only on the affected portion. And as we go along, you will find how effective it is. And there is a cost saving of about 60%. I will prove by calculations. The affected portion was removed by creating a pit and it was replaced by JRCP. We construct CRCP. We construct JPCP. CRCP is not in our country, but JRCP, jointly reinforced cement concrete pavement. I have taken it from figure from IRC SP 83. And this process you will see saved 173 tons of carbon, which was about 90% had we gone the usual way of replacing the whole slab. In case of NS 48, partial milling was done instead of complete removal and relaying of PQC in the settled portion. Now I'll take case by case. The first is Rajauli to Bakhtiarpur, NS20 in state of Bihar. There is a little story behind this. This project of NHI was in red. It was going on very slowly. And NHI officers, especially Shri Mahavir Singh, who used to be member technical, he asked me, sir, kindly have a look, you go and inspect it. I went there with Dr. Pawar. We stayed there for 4 days and demonstrated how to construct the road correctly. Believe me, after that, this project was quite accelerated, and this thing was told to me by Honorable Chairperson Mrs. Alka Upadhyay in Lucknow when I got the IRC Lifetime Achievement Award. The problem was it is a bonded rigid pavement which was designed by IIT Kharagpur, Dr. K. Sudhakar Reddy. The thickness was 220 mm. This came to me for comments. IIT Kharagpur had forgotten a very important provision of IRC 58. During 30 years of service life, at least 2 times we have to do tining and grinding so that the pavement remains pavement performs well. So this 10 mm had been added by me. Then to be extra cautious, I also added 10 mm extra because there are so many variables which get compounded in construction of a rigid pavement. And I'm happy to see NHI accepted it and the contractor also accepted, and the thickness thus worked out to be 240 mm. Now, in this, the structural strength of the DLC, which here the term is RCCP, because in US they do not call DLC, they call roller compacted concrete pavement. So we use this term. Actually, RCCP is DLC for all our intents and purposes. See, how did we do it? After laying the RCCP, the finer material was removed and this PQC was pasted on it. How? By spraying cement sand slurry, 1:1. The longitudinal transfer joints, they were made in DLC also, and these were coterminous with the oncoming joints in the PQC. This is very sensitive job, but it had been done very perfectly. While pasting this PQC on the DLC, we sprayed this slurry 1:1 water cement ratio given in the bracket, 15 to 20 meters ahead of PQC laying paver. RC, now where the problem had been, here this last para, the RCCP in a length of 6.6 kilometer had been laid in 2 operations. It should have been laid with one wide paver, but it was done in by a not a wide paver. It was done in 2 operations. Essential precautions were not taken. When you do it in 2 operations, there are certain precautions. Those 2 pavers work in tandem, but for this thing we should not. That is why the problem developed. Now, what was the problem? In a length of 6.6 kilometer, at the joint, there was a weak but paper joint. when the two sides met, the density was not 98%, which was it was supposed to be, it was less. And a paper joint got formed, which was invisible. PQC was laid over it, and in a length of 3.6 kilometer, there was an eccentricity of 0.5 meter between the central longitudinal joint and the PQC. And this joint, what joint, appeared as it while construction traffic was going on it, it appeared as on the top of the PQC, and it was a problem how to correct it. And that is why I went there. Everybody said, the AE and also the PD of course, he had not much of knowledge of this type of technique which we developed. It should be removed. Now, respected attendees, I give a small pause. Length of 6.6 kilometer. Full width. If you remove it and put it in the sides, it will be heaps of concrete lumps or concrete broken pieces. And it struck my mind, it will give a lot of adverse criticism to NHI and Government of India. The passerby will say, today they constructed this road, tomorrow they have dismantled it. This was weighing heavy on my mind and also of Dr. Pawar. And this is what we thought I'll show you. Kindly see. See this arrow. I do not have the control. Kindly see this arrow. This red line is the joint which can we show? This is this line. This grayish thing is 3.6 kilometer long PQC. This and where this arrow, kindly follow this. This is the lower joint, unseaming joint. What joint? Which propagated and is showing up. This is 2 to 3 mm wide and it is throughout, through 250 mm, 240 mm, sorry. Now, everybody said remove this 3.6 and also 3 kilometer ahead. No, we did not have it. What we did was, kindly see this figure. That was isometric view. Now, here you see, this is the core we had taken. This portion is 240 mm and this portion is 150 mm DLC. This crack is shown here where I am taking this arrow. Reflection crack. And this is shown here also in this rectangle. This gray portion is PQC and this almond color is DLC. But this is here. Not seen, this is butt joint. This is created problem. How did we treat it? It is quite interesting. First the codal provision for acceptance of a crack is as under. Plastic shrinkage cracks with cumulative length of 3000 millimeter in a slab can be accepted after repair as per IRC SP 83. Beyond cumulative length of 3000 millimeter shall be rejected. Para 12.33 I1 of IRC 15. According to this provision, the pavement in a length of 6.6 kilometers should have been removed and replaced, inviting a lot of adverse public criticism of NHI, apart from causing huge environmental degradation. So this was on our mind. The challenge before us was to minimize the environmental degradation and still respect the codal provision. An innovative solution described as in the sketches was applied in India and probably elsewhere also, US also. The cardinal principle of change of specification is the substituted specification should be equal to or better than the existing specifications functionally and structurally without cost to the client. Change of specification is rarely provided, but however, there is a proviso. If the change specification is better than or equal to the existing specification without any cost to the to NHI, then it is acceptable. And this is the principle on which we worked. The lower figure, बेटा इसको ले आओ ना तुम क्या करो इसको टेलीफोन को छोड़ दे फेंक दूंगा मैं प्लीज डोंट डिस्टर्ब this lower figure this is from IRC 101 of 1981 at the time of Shri K.K. Shri, former DGRD. This one is from IRC SP 83 JRCP. Here the distance between the joints is too much, but we have gone by what is prescribed by NHI 4.5. It's a marriage of two. Now kindly see. What we did, encompassing this reflection crack fully, we made a pit of 75 centimeter. It was cut away from the central longitudinal joint, encompassing the reflection crack fully. The entire concrete between the cut face and the central longitudinal joint from the pit was removed. 12 mm diameter holes, 120 mm deep, were drilled at the cut face of the pit at a spacing of 230 mm. Similarly, holes were drilled on the opposite face of the pit at the same spacing. This is some isometric view just to give it. This is one face, this is another face. This is 10 mm diabar, sir, 10 mm diabar, 10 mm diabar at a spacing of 230 mm center to center. This has been put in a hole which is 12 mm in diameter, 12 mm and 120 mm deep, filled with epoxy R5 Hilti. Why I chose it? Because this grade of epoxy of Hilti is used even under sea. This works even under water. And because all concrete has water, so to be cautious, we introduced this. Now, how do we do it? This is the procedure. The two faces of the pit were brought to SSD condition. We all know what is SSD condition, saturated surface dry. The holes were filled with epoxy resin. 10 mm diameter tall steel bars were inserted. Longitudinal main reinforcement, 16 mm diameter bar were placed at 150 mm center to center, as we do in CRCP. The longitudinal bars were terminated 20 mm before the transverse joint. This is it. These are the longitudinal bars and these are the transverse bars. The transverse bars are underneath, or that these longitudinal bars are there. And this is not shown, the longitudinal bars are also supported on chairs, steel chairs, so that these 10 mm dia bars do not bend and give way. The vertical faces of the pit were brush painted with 1:1 cement sand. These vertical faces were first, I missed that, they were kept wet for 6 hours. After that, rubbed clean and then painted with this cement sand slurry, with water cement ratio 0.8 to 1. After this M40 grade concrete was poured into it, it was vibrated with needle vibrator, tied, water cured for 14 days. Construction of balance 1/3. Now we treated 3.6. Remaining was 3 kilometer, which was only DLC. But that paper joint was also there because it was weak. So we cleaned the top surface. The protruding aggregates we did not bother because they worked as a good shear key for mechanical bonding of PQC on it. The longitudinal construction paper was joint in where the density was not 98%. I did a very small trick. Steel wire mesh of 3 mm dia, aperture size 25 into 25 was placed over it, that weaker portion. That's all. This is it. The width of the mesh was 1 feet 300 mm. Mesh was placed in 6 inches, 150 mm on either side of the butt joint. It was ensured that the wire mesh was fixed firmly so as not to get dislodged while doing PQC. You can see this in the picture. This is what we did. And underneath is DLC. And these are the aggregate nodules protruding. Top surface was moistened to create an SSD condition. Again, cement sand slurry was applied. It was not allowed to dry before laying of PQC. For perfect bond of RCCP with PQC, the application of slurry was kept within 10 to 5 meters of the. Here, pure was not used. 10 to 5 meters ahead of. This line, I think I will amend it, and it was before application of PQC. This was not allowed to dry it. Okay, बेटा ये नोट करो 21 नंबर स्लाइड. PQC surface was tined. Initial saw cut for transfers were made. Water curing was done for 16 days. After 3 weeks of initial saw cuts were widened. Widened grooves were washed with jet of water. It's normally how do we treat? Fill the sealant in the groove, joint groove, as per IRC 57. So this is the cost comparison. We had done it in rupees, but then the conference demanded do it in dollars. Now with the permission of NHI, I'll put another table under it and send it by today evening itself. That will be in rupees. But the content remains same. The saving was 62%, which I rounded off to 60%. Now this saving depends upon how much concrete we have broken. In this case, it was 0.75 meter. Supposing due to some circumstances, it is more than that, say 1 meter, the saving may come down to 55% or something. But in any case, it will remain the same. Now here, gentlemen, the question arises, why did we put this longitudinal 16 mm dia bars? Reason, invariably, all these cracks, one of the reasons is settlement of soil. And an RCC mesh distributes the load more uniformly than the PCC. This was in our mind, and it has been successful. Now, I am happy to say one NHA officer informed me that Honorable Chairman had travelled on this road while he went to Patna for a length of about 30 kilometers. This I got tested by putting heavy trucks on this newly created portion and found to be okay. This treatment was done in perhaps in June 2022. and it is now more than 2.5 years old. This is perfectly behaving okay. Another case, very serious case, the DLP period in this case was 15 years. NHI was not taking over the road from the builder, it was ILFS. So they approached me. I went there, spent about, I think, 4 or 5 days. This length is 97 kilometers. It was completed in July 4, and inspection was done by me in 2019. What were the distresses? 23 number panels were settled. This had been corrected by laying asphalt layer, which is usual, which is done in so many cases in NHI. Now, on 27th of December, Ministry has circulated a circular that this practice should be stopped and all repairs should be done as per IRCSP 83. This is it. This is the asphalt layer. We removed it. See on this side, this is being removed. This is being milled out. And then after removing it, the pavement was further milled by 100 mm. See, now milling machine to mill the concrete pavements are available in India. And we milled it, and level of slab was matched by laying a layer of water-based. Now this is very important. Water-based, non-shrink, non-swell micro concrete. Some of the micro concretes, they are non-shrink, but they swell. This was a unique. I contacted Ultratech Cement. They manufacture it. This complete, and their engineer was at site when this work was got executed, because we were not experienced. So this was a good micro concrete which we applied. It was done with mason's tool and was vibrated with 25 mm dia vibrator. Required level was matched. Press concrete was cured for 7 days before opening to traffic. The literature says 3 days, but no chance. These are the steps. I have prepared it with the help of Ultratech engineers who was at site. Steps are given. First step is mill up to 100 mm. Actually, they specified 30 mm. But on experience, we found that 30 mm was not enough. Before giving this talk, I have talked to the gentleman who got the work done. He said, sir, we have done everywhere 100 mm because 30 mm was not staying. Inlay water-based non-shrink. Now this is inlay, this is not overlay. Step 2, this was a micro concrete. Then sockets in this were made coterminous with those in the underlying PQC. This is underlying PQC. This joint are coterminous. They are in the same vertical plane as in the existing one. Transverse crack. There are two types of cracks. Some are near the existing joint, some are just in the middle of the panel. So treatment for the two are different. I did this retrofitting of dowel bars. This picture is given. This is 32 dia dowel bars and it is placed on two triangular chairs, and 50 wide 500 long slots was cut at a spacing of 300 center to center, perpendicular to the alignment of the crack up to mid depth. The dowel bar was made to stand on the triangular chairs. Kindly see this. This is the slot. This is dowel bar. In fact, it is shown as TMT, but this is plain steel bar. Sides of the slots were brought to SSD. These were brought to SSD condition. M40 concrete was poured and vibrated. The concrete was cooled and timed. And this is working perfectly well. If the crack is somewhere in the middle, then you kindly follow this. This treatment is given in para 5.3 of IRCSP 83. In fact, this is from my road itself, Delhi Mathura Road, kilometer 49.331. Before opening, I saw it and then applied this treatment. For detail, you can kindly refer to that guideline. And I am happy to inform that 31 years have passed. No problem at all. Now we cannot find where it is. See, instead of rejecting everything, it is our duty to find a solution which is least costly. So this was creation of additional transfer joint. Details are given there, and it was advised to me to do like this by Dr. Amin Shah, who was the consultant from England. See, cross stitching, it is given in on this project. It was got done by CRRI 14 years ago. The distress had come in the first year itself, and the CRRI team went there. They had done this cross stitching. I have included this slide only to show that this cross stitching is valid for transfers longitudinal and diagonal, all sorts of cracks. Although some literature say that it should not be done in longitudinal, but हाथ कंगन को अर्शी क्या पढ़े लिखे को फारसी क्या. This is visible. I have seen it, and for the last 14 years it has behaved well. So we should apply it wherever it is. The depth of the crack is less than 1/3 that of the concrete. Supposing the pavement is 300 and if this crack has gone up to 100 only, this treatment is very effective. Everywhere, gentlemen, whenever I have seen most of the consultants, they take 4 inches core to find out the depth of the crack. Just to find out the depth, I don't think there is a need to cut the concrete pavement in a diameter of 4 inches. No. I have devised a simple technique. Take a Hilti drill of 1 inch dia and align it on the crack. You see. And we can find out the depth of the crack by making a drill, wash it with water, then with dry cloth, take a binding wire and take a small torch and see up to which depth it is. Because I feel it is too much undesirable practice to make core everywhere. Most of us do not know how to refill the core. While on the subject, let me deal with it. When we take a core, the round side becomes very smooth. So this should be roughened with a 80 number iron sandpaper and then brought to SSD condition. And concrete should be placed in 3 layers, duly rodded. Then this will be a perfect refilling. Otherwise, most of this, because celery is already sticking to the round wall of the hole, they put concrete, sometimes it comes out. This drill hole is replacement of existing 100 dia core to find the depth of the crack. So I apply it, wherever I go, I apply it. This is longitudinal cracks. You fill in the following epoxy. This was done in so many reaches. Sunken slab, mostly approach slab. Now I will request Shri P.K. Jain and Rohit ji. You find this problem of settlement of approach slab is universal. On the side it is with the deck, it is okay. On the other side it settles. And sometimes the settlement is so much that it causes very much inconvenience to the vehicle. So why not we make it in 3 parts? 16 mm wide approach slab, make it in 5.3 something. Leave longitudinal joint throughout and put some lifting arrangement in those small, this trifurcated portions. Whenever there is settlement, lift them by lugs with the help of crane. Inject CLSM, controlled low strength material, under them. Keep the slab lifted till this is settled and then you replace it. This is an idea which I have thought should work well, and I will request NHI officers, especially the offices in the head office, to get it tried somewhere. It will definitely work. There's no doubt about the technology. Because when the wheels goes, the vertical butt joint will not say anything. Let it go. The problem comes only in the transverse direction. Now, how did we solve it here? Reason for settlement were again the secondary compaction of soil. But the good thing was that in the settled slab, there were no cracks. And I was told that, sir, there is no further settlement. Approach here had been covered with asphalt, as I showed you in the first slides. The bituminous layer was milled out, concrete surface was cleaned, and same methodology as given in slide number 27 was applied. The inlay depth was varying because there it was 100 mm. Here the inlay depth was varying because on one side the slab was abutting the deck slab of the bridge, on the other side it was suspended. So inlay depth was adjusted. Supposing it was 100 mm on the side of the deck, it will be slightly less on the free end. And such like approach slabs were 54 in numbers, which were set right. 54 is a big number. In 97 kilometers, almost in up to 2 kilometers one, almost. Diagonal crack was found at kilometer 582.050 right hand side. This was stitched as per slide number 29, that IRC SP 83 para 7.2. And this method was repeated at some other places, 6-7 others as shown. Affected portion is shown in figure below. The surface was cleaned. Resin-based epoxy paste was applied over a clean bone dry surface. The sand used was 4.7 mm up to 600 mm. The above methodology was applied at another 4-5 pieces. What is it? The concrete from the top, final material is gone and it becomes bald. This is what we did. This is successful. Those who are in near Delhi, they can see Dhola Kuan. In Dhola Kuan, you will find some 15-16 slabs which are blackish in color now. I got this repair done about maybe 15-20 years ago. Till recently, it was okay. Corner cracks. Why do corner cracks happen? Let me explain. Our payments, they are in hogging condition in the day and sagging condition. Panel is in sagging condition during night. And when the loaded truck passes over this sagged pavement along the corner, it breaks. These corner breaks are two types. They may be up to 2 feet, that is 600 mm long, or maybe more than that. When the sides are less than 600, we do nothing but fill in the flowing epoxy, wash it, fill it again. But when they are longer, we make a square or rectangular cut, put tall steel bars on the faces, and but before that, bring the freshly cut faces to SSD condition. Apply slurry as given earlier, and M40 grade concrete we poured. It was vibrated, tanned, and water cured for 14 days. Panels at kilometer this had multiple cracks. There was no further settlement. At two places. And now milling up to 100 mm depth in multiple operations was done. RCC mat shown in the figure. Here there is RCC mat. I think it's 12 inches by 12 inches. It was spread in the pit and it was concreted. But before doing that, economy of complete replacement of slab vis-a-vis treatment shown by this deck, this mat should be compared. Post comparison should be made. Gandham district in Odisha, those who have seen it, there is a Chilka lake. And that lake used to submerge this area. But in intense heat, they used to manufacture salt here. Later on, the NH came here. And what happened was, the joint along the shoulder opened. Not along the central longitudinal joint opened. As per design, it was some 6 or 8 mm wide. but at site it was 20 to 35 mm wide, which is now usual. Everywhere you find it. Shri B.N. Singh, who was in NHI, approached me. He is from my college, BIT Mesra, Ranchi. Sir, please solve it. So I went there and for the first time in the country did retrofitting of tie bars. As is seen here, cause of widening, of course, was settlement of subgrade due to secondary compaction. The repair methodology adopted is retrofitting of 20 mm tie bars, steel bars, tall steel bars. You can see it here. These are the slots cut, 300 mm. कहाँ गए भाई? काफी ऊपर है, नीचे बोलो बेटा, करो. यहाँ आगे ना, यहाँ थे. ठीक है. Kindly see these slots. Here, this rod sitting on the triangular chair will sit. We made the cuts and repair methodology was retrofitting of 20 mm diameter steel bars. This 20 mm was chosen over 16 mm purposely because we get more peripheral area. Kindly see on this side, this pit is filled. This is sitting underneath. The dowel is sitting underneath, and incidentally, I happened to go on this road after 10 years. It was done in February 2013. I was there in February 2023. That means exactly after 10 years. See. See, I've seen in this picture pointing to this. These are the slots which are almost in, kindly see, these are there. And after 10 years, you don't find even 1 millimeter settlement. This was done in February 2013. I happen to see this road in some other connection in 2023. I was very happy because this treatment, which was done for the first time in the country, has stood the test of time and heavy vehicles pass over it. Kolivor Bhojpur is this is actually there are two national highways. Now I think name given is 922. I was called by the contractor through HI earlier. But later on, Mr. A.R. Chitransi, he joined Patna PIU only a week ago. I got a call at 9:30 p.m. Sir, what do I do? This road has been failed by your vigilance team. How come? What are the results? These are the results. That strength was almost M17, M30, M10, 223, blah, blah, blah. It was, I said, Chitransi, I had been there on this road. I had tested the cores and beams. But sir, what do I do? It is vigilance team. We can't do anything. He was quite upset. Naturally, as in charge, he had to be. So I told him the fundamental principle of training is when we got stuck, go to the basics. He said, sir, I could not follow. Okay. Take a flexural beam, cut a flexural beam from the wheel path. Rub it to the exact size of 700 mm by 150 by 150. Take 3 of them. Immerse them in water at 27 degrees plus minus 3 degrees for 40 to 48 hours. Take it out, rub it clean, put it in air for 1 to 1.5 hours. Get it tested in your presence. Because these test reports, which I have shown in bullet 4, these were the strength. One cannot believe that PQC should be so low. I said the direct method, go. Otherwise, what do we do to find the flexile strength? Take a core, multiply its strength by 1.25, take 0.7 under root FCK. Instead of FCK, we substitute this strength and find out the flexile strength. Gentlemen, we are using two formulae, whereas in beam method, it is direct method. No formula is involved. And fourth or fifth day, I got another call. He was quite happy. Sir, strength instead of 4.95 has come 5.74. The condition of the road was good. It was catering to heavy traffic from last about 2 years. So where was the need to reject it? Reason, the inspecting team had taken 27 cores. They sent it to National Test House, Calcutta, where I don't know how this strength reported by them. And they do not allow to witness the test. That is the tragedy. Later on, what happened? IIT Kanpur team, I said you go to some IIT. The IIT Kanpur team was invited. They took 54 samples. One is from the same panel from which the Calcutta team had taken, and one from the adjacent. It's a 34 pages report with me. I have given only the crux. Their finding was the concrete in rigid pavements for the two projects of Kolivar Buxar stretch NS 922, Kolivar Buxar project package 3 and Kolivar Bhojpur package 2 bracket close conforms to the prescribed codal specifications of M40 concrete and is adequate for structural design. Now, gentlemen, this was IIT report. Full report is with me. And that was reputed National Test House Calcutta report, which has failed. Because they do not allow to witness the test, how the test is conducted, whether the load applied for breaking the course was 14 Newton per second. Nobody knows. But in case of IIT, they invited the PD or his representative, contractor and AE. So on this happening, the member technical NHI, Shri Mahavir Singh, he passed an order that henceforth this testing will be done from the nearest IIT in the presence of three entities: contractor's person, PD's authorized representative, and A's authorized representative. So this is a big relief. This project otherwise of 1,507 crores. Think, can we dismantle two roads? 97 kilometers. So this was a big contribution from our side. Regionally, flexure strength is taken by extracting ore, which I explained. Immerse in water for 23 plus minus 3 days for 3 plus minus 3 centigrade for 48 hours. Take out the core from the curing tank. Rub the core with dry cloth. Allow drying in the air for 1 to 1.5 hours to achieve the SSD condition. It is very much essential. What mostly our AEs are doing, taking the core and directly testing. Till you bring it to SSD condition, the strength will be found to be more if it is direct. So it has to be brought to SSD condition. Extend the flexural beam, the method I do it. And I found it everywhere. It is quite encouraging. Strength is more when you take flexural beam. Bring it to SSD condition and then test it in the CTM, cube testing machine, by 2-point loading. You will always find, because direct method is always better than this formula method. So thank you, gentlemen.